Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're having an incredible day, and today we're going to be discussing the use of masking fluid when painting with watercolors. If you're new here, my name is Erica. I'm a traditional media illustrator, art blogger, and teaching artist that created this YouTube channel to share lots of art tips, tutorials about drawing and painting, and encouragement for other artists. I share videos every single Friday, so consider subscribing. When a beginner is just starting out using watercolor paints, one of the most difficult things to get used to is having to plan and protect your widest areas throughout the painting process. A lot of watercolor artists nowadays don't use masking fluid because it entails a couple of extra steps in the process, but it honestly is one of the best ways that you can ensure that those whites are going to be protected, especially when painting certain kinds of subjects that have very reflective areas or very tiny areas that you want to leave white. It had been a while since I last used masking fluid, and for this video tutorial I decided to go with painting a car. Cars are excellent subjects to practice this technique with because they have such shiny reflective surfaces. So in the next time lapse, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I usually go through when using masking fluid in a watercolor painting, and I'm also going to be sharing some tips that I always make sure to apply myself. Enjoy, guys! So if you're watching this video right now, you're probably already well aware that watercolors are very different from other painting mediums such as acrylics or oils or gouache. Because with these other painting mediums, you are allowed to work from darkest to lightest and add in your final highlights until the end. Watercolors require you to work from lightest to darkest, and it is very difficult to cover up mistakes with watercolors because watercolors are translucent. So when we're working with watercolors, instead of adding in white paint until the end as our final highlights, the white is actually the white of our paper. So this means that we have to make sure to know where the lightest areas of our painting are going to be since the very beginning, and make sure to protect these areas as carefully as possible throughout the painting process. So for us, this means that before starting with the painting process, we have to make sure to plan where our lightest areas of our painting are going to be, so that we can make sure to protect them throughout the painting process and not allow any pigment to get into these areas. Because once this pigment gets on the paper, it's absorbed and you cannot get it out from there. It's stained, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people consider watercolors to be less forgiving than other painting mediums, but it's all about planning and being careful throughout the process. Before moving on, I want to quickly mention that I am aware that there are amazingly talented artists that create beautiful looking work by combining watercolor with white gouache or white acrylic at the end. And actually, this is how I started in the beginning, and there's nothing wrong with this. However, I came to a point at which I personally, in my own journey, I concluded that I was using these white gouache and acrylic as a crutch at the end because I was unable to achieve those effects using only one painting medium. And it wasn't until I personally decided to challenge myself and achieve the desired effects using only watercolors that I really saw major improvements in my work. And though I still have a very long way to go before I get to the point that I want to be at in terms of skill level, I definitely see a huge improvement in my work in terms of quality. So though I am a huge believer in breaking the rules and exploring and creating your own art style, I also think that it's incredibly valuable for you to challenge yourself and study and explore each medium individually. And then after you have learned the characteristics and the pros and cons and how each individual painting medium combines with your own personal techniques and style, then combine them if you wish. Let it be because it's a stylistic choice and not because you need it as a crutch, if that makes any sense. Okay, so having said all that, let's begin with the steps that I personally go through when using masking fluid in a watercolor painting. Firstly, you want to make sure that you're working in a well-ventilated area because masking fluid has ammonia in it, which is pretty stinky and can give you a headache. As with any other painting that I do, I make sure to start out with an excellent reference picture. So make sure that it's high quality, that it has a great resolution, and it has great lighting. The lighting is essential because you have to be able to discern the lightest areas of your picture so that you can translate that into your painting. And of course, for a picture to be awesome, there should also be a play between light areas and shadow areas. So just make sure that you take your time selecting a quality picture that is going to lead to a good painting. So once I have my great picture in front of me and I have my pencils sharpened and my eraser next to me, I get started with my initial pencil sketch. I try to sketch as lightly as possible and keep my work as clean as possible. And for this particular sketch, I really took my time to try to get it as similar as possible to the exact car model that I am trying to paint at the end. So it took me a while to get to my finalized sketch, also because this is such a detailed subject. But personally, when I am drawing, I love exercising my observational skills and I love to draw completely freehand without tracing. But if you want to trace, that's up to you. Once you have arrived at your finalized pencil sketch, take a moment and really observe your reference picture. Pinpoint where the lightest areas of your picture are. If you have to, create these little shapes with your pencil lightly so that you know where you're going to be placing your masking fluid on. If you find it helpful, take a pencil and trace these little shapes so that you know exactly where your masking fluid is going to be placed. Next, you're going to have to find some kind of sharp, pointy tool to place your masking fluid on your desired areas of your watercolor paper to block them out. So I personally have gotten used to using paper clips for this. I damaged pretty badly and actually left a couple of paintbrushes completely unusable the first couple of times that I used masking fluid. So if you do decide to use a paintbrush, make sure that it's a paintbrush that is kind of old and beat up already. Don't damage your favorite paintbrushes for applying masking fluid. And also, if you are going to use a paintbrush, I highly recommend that you wash it in soapy water before using it with masking fluid. If you are going to take the paperclip route or any other type of sharp object, just make sure that you are not pressing down on your paper too hard because this is going to damage the paper. So when I am applying my masking fluid with my paperclip, I'm just doing it very slightly, not applying any pressure on my paper, and I'm just generally being very careful not to damage it. Make sure not to scrape or scratch your paper. Another very important thing to be aware of is that your paper should be completely bone dry before placing your masking fluid on it. And one more important thing that you have to know is that you shouldn't shake your masking fluid bottle. You can stir it gently, but shaking it is going to create bubbles, and you don't want to leave bubbles on your work. Take your time adding your masking fluid on your paper, and also make sure that you're continuously looking at your picture so that you don't miss any spaces that you want to protect. Once you are done with the placement of your masking fluid, you have to allow it to dry completely and naturally. And this may take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes depending on the thickness of your layer of masking fluid. Once your masking fluid is completely dry to the touch, you can move on to painting as you would normally do. Because this video is mostly about the use of masking fluid, for the rest of the video I am not going to speak very much at all because I just continue with the painting process like I would normally do. If you're interested in finding out more about my watercolor painting process and seeing tutorials about watercolor painting, I will leave links below to other videos that I have published. But I am going to leave you with one final tip, and it's to absolutely resist the urge to speed up the drying process with any sort of hairdryer or heat tool. This may change the consistency of the masking fluid that is on your paper and may cause it to stick and adhere to your paper more, to the point that when you're finally removing it, you can tear off the paper with it. Okay everyone, so I am going to leave you with the rest of the painting process.
That's it for today, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got something out of it. I would love to know in the comment section below what method you personally use to get those highlights into your watercolor paintings. Thank you so much for watching this video and being here with me today. I really appreciate it. Follow me on social media so you can see what I'm up to on a daily basis. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you around next Friday. Bye!